Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, May 1st. It's gonna be May, or it is May, and we are starting off the month after stocks climbed back from early session lows to end the regular trading session yesterday mixed. The Dow added 141 points or 0.35%. The S&P 500 also inched into the green by 8 points or 0.15%. The NASDAQ closed in the red off just 14 points or 0.09%. Bill, let's get into today's action in a new month with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are up 1.27%. I mean, that's a huge rally. I mean, these strong gains are really, they're due to the big tech earnings yesterday. They came in with really solid results, and the Microsoft report was particularly good. But I can't display the Meta report because they got a lot of advertising. So remember, I said earlier, like a month ago, that like TikTok, people are slowing down their TikTok spend, and that's got to move somewhere. It's likely to be moving over to Meta, and sure enough, that's what appears to happen last night. They had strong results. After the bell today, we got earnings coming out from Apple, we got earnings from Amazon, we got Apple earnings from AMGN, Airbnb, Reddit, and Roku. They're all scheduled to report today after the bell. Then you get the trade talks. Trump yesterday hinted that there's progress being made in the trade talks with Japan. He also cited the possibility of trade agreements with India, South Korea, and voiced positive comments with respect to China. And China has indicated that it may be open to talks with the U.S. That's nice to see. Japan, the BOJ, they left interest rates unchanged overnight at their BOJ meeting. That's positive. Looking for the day ahead. Listen, the key economic data point is going to be that ISM Manufacturing data that comes out 30 minutes after the opening bell. You got to watch that one. That's going to be key. Oil prices, we got to keep an eye on oil prices because they're continuing to slide. Saudi Arabia is really talking about how it's prepared for a prolonged period of lower prices. That's not strong for oil prices. But let's take a look at what happens let's take a look at what's happening over in Europe. We got the FTSE. It's down 5 points, 0.06%. UK manufacturing data was revised slightly higher, but continues to signal the contraction. But everything else is closed. They got that May Day celebration, which is like Labor Day. The German markets are closed. The French markets are closed. I mean, so there's no volume there. I mean, it's very light volume, and it's down 4.74 points this morning. That's nothing. It's 0.06%. Then you're looking last night in Asia, and Asia, the Nikkei jumped 406 points. That's 1.13%. That's really positive. I mean, hey, BOJ leaving the rates unchanged, giving dovish guidance. That was positive for the markets. But then you look at Hong Kong, closed. You look at China, closed. They're closed for holidays. I mean, that's it happens sometimes. So all those market closures mean lower volume, which can result in greater volatility. But then we're taking a look on oil. We're doing a deeper dive into oil, and WTI, $56.98. That's down 2.11%. Brent is trading $59.89, down 1.92%. Both contracts are under $60. I mean, it's not getting significant attention right now, but oil prices fell 18% roughly in April. And, they are moving lower today. And, these OPEC production quotas, they're being lifted today. And it appears they might even do more for June. There's a meeting, I think, next week with OPEC. Saudi Arabia's out there, and they're saying they're unwilling to continue to curtail production. They're upset. They're upset with the other countries in OPEC that, doing non-compliance, specifically, something like Iraq, and they're not compliance, and Kazakhstan, they're not in compliance. A price war could happen, and the last time we saw a price war was in 2020. I mean, oil prices have gone negative. If you remember in 2020, we had a contango situation where oil prices actually went negative. That is possible. I don't think that's going to happen this time, but trying to predict the bottom for oil prices is like trying to catch a falling knife. You never know how low it could go. But if they're lifting production into a period of a weakening economic environment, oil prices could move lower. But we'll have to see if this bearishness in oil continues next week. But that's what I have for you in terms of oil market update, Emily.
Bill, you just gave us that deeper dive into oil prices and what to expect there. And there's a number of other pieces of information that are worth a deeper dive this morning, not the least of which is those economic indicators that you mentioned, along with earnings. A number of really big companies who did release. You mentioned Microsoft and Meta, and we have some big names that are releasing after the bell today. So let's get into earnings action. Bill, what is going on there?
Let's start off with Qualcomm, QCOM, Quinton, Charlie, Oscar, Mary. They beat by 3 cents on higher revenue. However, that stock's down 5.9% this morning. Meta Platforms, ticker META, they beat by $1.21 on higher revenue. Meta is trading higher by 6.87%. Look at Microsoft, Mr. Softy, MSFT, they beat by 24 cents on higher revenue. Microsoft is showing a gain of 8.90%. Wow. Lilly, ticker LLY, they missed by 12 cents, but they did do it on higher revenue. Not good enough. The stock's down 4.89% this morning. But CVS Health, Charlie Victor Sam, they beat by 58 cents. They did it on higher revenue. CVS is up 8.77% this morning. After the bell today, we got AMGN, Apple, Michael, Grace, Nancy. Their EPS is $4.15. Expected move is 4.8%. We got Amazon.com, ticker AMZN. Their EPS is $1.37. Expected move is 6.79%. You got Apple, ticker AAPL, Apple, Paul, Larry. Their EPS is $1.60. Expected move is 4.83% when they release after the bell today, Emily.
A number of big earnings there to be watching. And Bill, you'll gather those as they hit the tape with your earnings alert. Speaking of alerts, you also have an economic alert set up. You did mention one key report for the day, but there's actually a couple of other indicators that are worth watching. Before we get to those economic events, just a quick pause to remind our listeners that yesterday's pick of the day was Meta Platforms. And you told us it's trading up 6.8%, if not more. We will do a check-in on that by the end of the show. Now to those economic events. Bill, give us a rundown of what is going on there.
8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get jobless claims. Then at 10 a.m., we get the ISM Manufacturing Index. Also at 10 a.m., you get construction spending. The ISM Manufacturing PMI data that for April is really key. The estimate is expected to come in at 47.8. That's under 50. The March reading was 49, also under 50. 50 is where you separate contraction from expansion. So that's a big drop. That could push this market down lower. So in yesterday's reading, that ADP report, came in at 62,000 compared to the street estimate of 120,000. That was really weak. And Q1 GDP, it came in, much lower than anticipated. So, that was not positive for the markets. But right now, we're all seeing this benefit of the earnings reports. Remember, this was first quarter. This was before the tariffs started going into effect. So we got to be a little cautious. But the markets will be paying attention to that ISM Manufacturing Index, which are April numbers that are coming out later this morning, Emily.
And the market will be paying attention to that information and those earnings reports and the other economic events. And even if there's that information to be paying attention to, there's still a host of other market moving information and data, news headlines, corporate headlines, business news, and you're following all of that using your NewsWare. You're breaking it down into alerts, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. Every morning you look at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a data check, looking at my Dow stocks. I got 19 higher, I got 11 lower. Looking at my FANG stocks, hey, some weakness in Netflix, some weakness in Apple, but everything else is trading higher. So let's take a look at some of the news behind the tape this morning. Like Apple, Fortnite is going to return to the U.S. To Apple's App Store next week. However, a U.S. district judge ordered Apple to immediately cease impeding developers' ability communicate with users and stop imposing new commissions on off-app purchases. Wow. Apple's got a lot of challenges moving forward. We're talking Amazon. Amazon's going to be investing $4 billion to expand its rural delivery network. That's nice. That's positive to see. Google, their CEO, testified yesterday, and he said that, breaking up Google or imposing government remedies, such as forcing the company to divest its Chrome browser or share its search data and algorithms, would make continuing investment in R&D unviable. That's true. I mean, they're that big for a reason because they got a lot of really smart people over there at Google that have come up with a lot of good algorithms that have really turned into, and they've shown the ability to monetize those algorithms. And the government wants to break it up because they got too big. Don't really agree with that one. Meta Platforms advertiser continuing to spend while TikTok ads are falling. Meta's ad revenue is picking up steam. Netflix was added to the JP Morgan focus list. I mean, that focus list includes AZO, DLR, and ULTA. Interesting. In terms of Dow Jones news, Dow Jones 30 news, NVIDIA, the CEO was at a White House event yesterday, and he did, give an indication that China is not behind the U.S. In AI. So, we're really neck and neck. I mean, we're a little bit ahead, but they're really catching up. McDonald's, they posted a 3% drop in revenue last quarter. Same store sales fell 3.36%, 3.6%, excuse me. Apple is reorganizing its global affairs and music divisions. I see a headline out on that this morning. What else do we got here this morning? We're talking guidance news, Qualcomm, QCOM. They see Q3 adjusted EPS coming in $2.60 to $2.80. Street estimate is $2.69. Okay. eBay, ticker EBAY, they see Q2 adjusted EPS coming in at $1.24 to $1.31. Street estimates $1.28. That's in the middle. That's okay. Lilly, they cut their full year 2025 EPS view to $20.78 to $22.28. Street estimates $22.40. Yeah, that's a downtick. CVS Health, they see full year 2025 revenue of at least $382.6 billion. Street estimate has it at $389.18 billion. Okay, not horrible. Shareholders meetings going on today. Boston Scientific, that's BSX, they're going to be holding a virtual shareholders meeting today. Starts at 8 a.m. RTX, Richard Tom X-Ray, they're going to be holding a virtual shareholders meeting today, also starting at 8 a.m. GLW, Grace Lair William, that's Corning, they're holding a virtual shareholders meeting today. Starts at noon, something to keep an eye on. Buyback news, MetLife, ticker MET, they announced a 3 billion share buyback. KLAC, CLAC, KLA Corp, they announced a 5 billion share buyback. And Graphic Packaging, that's ticker GPK, Grace Paul Kilo, they announced a $1.5 billion share repurchasing agreement. All positive, and that's what I have for you about news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional NewsWire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk Pick of the Day. Bill, we're kicking off a new month. What is the pick of the day today?
I'm going to go with AMGN, ticker AMGN, Apple, Mike, Grace, Nancy. Earnings are due out after the bell. The EPS is $4.15. The expected move is 4.51%. Yesterday's call volume, 3,682. Put volume, 2,827. Open interest, 84,700 versus 71,800. But they're both positive. And, most of the major brokers are raising price targets. They got good, strong ratings on the stock, so I do like to see that. But I'm hoping to get into some weakness. We're seeing a little weakness in the stock. I want to get in, at the 286 level somewhere. I saw it was bid 286 or earlier this morning. So if I can get in somewhere around 286, between 286 and 287, somewhere around there, I think that will be positive. So that's my pick of the day. Amgen, Apple, Michael, Grace, Nancy. Earnings play. If I can get out during the day, I'm going to do that. I will grab my 1% today. I'll take it. But that's my pick of the day. Amgen, Apple, Mike, Grace, Nancy, Emily.
Another earnings play today, Bill, and looking for that specific entry point that was your strategy yesterday with your meta pick of the day. In just a moment, we will do a recap on that, even if we've given away how that went. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Kron, Kron, Kronos Bio, trading has been halted, news pending. CVS Health continues to expect leverage ratio to return to more normal levels. Listen, you got to remember, these health pharmacy benefit manufacturers, they have a big lobbying group. It's not easy for Congress and the Senate to turn these guys down because they got a lot of money to spend. Ukraine signs final Trump brokered minerals deal, giving U.S. Preferential access to resources. Do you know how much it costs to mine this stuff? Billions. It's a non-deal as far as I'm concerned. What's this? Deal values Chef Boyardee at $600 million. ConAgra strikes a deal to sell Chef Boyardee to a private equity firm. That kind of makes sense. I get $600 million for Chef Boyardee brand. Yeah, I can see it. I mean, that's the most famous chef in the world, Chef Boyardee. I mean, that pasta brand, that canned pasta, huge, huge. Trump wants a new Air Force One so badly he's refurbishing a Qatari plane. I'd like to see the price tag for that. GM shares, so plus 2.8% in the pre-market, cuts its outlook for the year to account for an estimated $4 to $5 billion in impact from the Trump administration tariffs. Scott Bessent's out there saying the Trump-Zelensky meeting at the Vatican went a long way to sealing the minerals deal. Trump offers some autos tariff relief, but not for car makers. We'll be hearing some talk of banking deregulation over the next coming months. RFK Jr. invests $500 million in universal vaccine project. You know, Tesla, there's news out there that Tesla's board was considering, looking for a new CEO because, they weren't sure if Musk was going to come back or not. Tesla's board chair says that the WSJ article was completely false, but I would expect them to say that. PayPal, PYPL, says the SEC closes probe into U.S. dollar stablecoin without enforcement action. Positive. Johnson & Johnson was added to Goldman's conviction list this morning, J&J. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, before we dive into trading on this Thursday and a new month, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day. We pointed it out earlier in the show was Meta. Did give us a look at their earnings during your earnings rundown. Their earnings per share were up sharply to $6.43, well ahead of Wall Street's estimates, as you told us, and that was up from $4.71 last year. Revenue for the quarter reached $42.3 billion. That was above expectations of $41.3 billion and up 16% on the year. CEO Mark Zuckerberg did say that Meta is well positioned to navigate macroeconomic uncertainty. So there looks like there was some certainty in the stock. It is up pretty big, and you gathered this one at a specific entry point, making you up even more. Bill, how did your call work out?
Yeah, hey, you know what? It worked out fabulous. That's all we can say. I mean, you got to remember yesterday. Yesterday was an ugly day. We walked into the market and we made this pick prior to the economic data coming out. And once that economic data it came out, I had to lower my price target, but I had already given it out there. But the stock did wind up opening at 538.40, and then it fell down to 529.50. Now I was thinking 538.50, so that it did open up weaker, and that weakening economic data that came out really just exacerbated the pricing level downward. That's to be expected. That was not uncommon. But we believed in this thing, so we didn't mind going along the stock. And the fact of the matter is, it just started taking off. And you know what? By the end of the day, the stock had rallied and it closed at 549. So if you look at the price that we gave out, which was 538.50, closing at 549. I mean, that's really positive. That was that beats the 1% easily. But if you held on to it, I mean, come on, you look at the stock this morning, it's trading 584.60. Yesterday, it opened up at 538.40. It's trading 584 now. I mean, it hit a high this morning of 587.70. That was a huge move. So, Meta Platforms, META, Michael Edward, Tom Apple, big winner. Very happy. Seeing a lot of green today, Emily. Seeing a lot of green.
Definitely a huge win there, Bill. A solid pick. And if we look back at April, which, if listeners recall, was the tariff month, this has been a volatile month. We're not really sure what we're stepping into day in and day out, but you had 21 picks, 18 wins, 3 flat trades, but listen, no real losses. And given those 3 flat trades on the month that we've had, I'd consider this a 100% win rate for a very unpredictable April. We will check in with you tomorrow about today's AMGN pick of the day, see how May starts out. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week with NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.